Hey everybody, and welcome back to Film Themes. I'm Alex,
I'm Jacob.
and we're continuing on our theme of obscure movies by talking this week about Time Crimes, a film out of, I believe, Spain?
I don't know. This is your movie. You
Yeah.
tell me.
I don't know, I didn't really look into the background of this. I just know that it was a movie that not many people have heard of that I enjoyed. It is completely in Spanish, so we did have to read to know what they were saying.
So, I want to talk about what a crappy day today is. I get in the car to come home, and I'm like, wow, it's hot. And I turn on the car, and it says it is 102.
Yeah, that's some bullshit. It makes me glad that I sleep through the hottest part of the day.
Yeah, not to mention the fact that summer is still 6 days away.
Really? It's still technically spring?
It is still technically spring,
Wow.
but Colorado doesn't have a spring or a fall. It just has 6 months of winter followed by 6 months of summer. I get home. Alex is got a package at the door. And I go to lift it and realize that he apparently ordered a dead hooker because it was heavy as shit.
Bag of cat litter, thank you.
Same thing. I go, okay, I didn't have a towel this morning, so I had to do laundry. Let me go throw those in the dryer. But my roommate threw them on top of the dirty dryer, still wet.
I put them in the dryer.
Oh, well, they were wet, so I had to wash them again.
Maybe
Oh.
don't leave them in the washer when you go to work.
I put them in right before I left. Anyway, moving on. I come home and I'm like, okay, there's a flash drive with a movie on it that I need to watch. And I have to become puzzle maker to figure out how to make the stupid subtitles work and go through 4 languages before I find the right one.
It took me all of like 5 seconds. What shitty program did you use?
The one you gave me, I don't know. Anyways. And then I turn on one of the worst movies I've seen in a while.
What?
And I can't distract myself by playing a game or anything because it's subtitled.
Why is your taste shit? This movie is great.
Holy predictables, okay? This movie, you saw everything coming.
Not really?
Everything. I mean, I'm sitting there going, yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's, yep, really tricking us with that one. Ooh, curveballs. No. All of it was predictable.
How?
It just was. It was so obvious that I from the start of it, when the guy's sitting there and he's running from the guy who stabs him in the arm, Hector number 1 running from Hector number 2, and Hector number 2 turns around like he's watching him with the binoculars as he's watching him with the binoculars, and it's like, oh, so he's fighting himself. Okay, moving on.
You got that from Okay, well, what about
Because he knew what he was doing. I was
Right.
like, oh, it's a movie about time travel.
Mm-hmm.
The guy's sitting there watching this man who just attacked him with binoculars. The guy has his back to him and then just turns around with his hands around his eyes, mimicking binoculars. I'm like, so he clearly knew what he was going to do. I'm like, he's fighting himself.
So, what about, I mean, the part where he thinks he's killed his wife. Did you see the complication with that coming?
I did think he killed his wife at first. I will admit they got me on that one. Did not expect her to still be alive. Especially since they had the part where Hector number 2 is saying, put me back in. And he's like, well, Hector number 3 told me not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
He said, at all costs, don't do it. Which, to me, is kind of a plot hole because there's no reason he told him that. Like, everything ends up working out for Hector number 3.
Well, aside from the fact that he's still got a corpse on his lawn and the police are on the way.
Well, yeah, but he knew that before. He knew that as Hector number 2.
Yeah.
And this guy's whole plan, this whole movie is, I need to kill the other Hectors. I'm like, if you kill the other Hectors, you can't go in that thing.
Right.
That's called a paradox. How do you make a movie about time travel and not know what a paradox is?
They know what a paradox is. They're just showing that he's being fucking stupid about it. Like, the guy who runs the time machine is, like, telling him the first time he time travels, like, don't go anywhere, don't fuck anything up. What's the first thing the guy does? Call his own house. What's the second thing the guy does? Drive off in a car to kill the other him.
only to be attacked by him.
Smart. Right.
Like, wow, this movie really does live up to that moniker of you are your own worst enemy.
Yeah, it really does. But I guess we should... Well, this is a movie about time travel, where a guy just kind of accidentally stumbles into a time machine. That the guy who... I don't really know what he was supposed to be at that facility, like if he was supposed to be one of the researchers or scientists, or if he was just some janitor or something, because it's never really expounded upon.
They don't explain that, which is another plot hole. There's no character background to this guy.
You don't need any character background for that guy. He's a minor character. The focus is on Hector.
He is the major supporting character.
Well, yeah, but he also doesn't have that much, like, screen time. I mean, it would have lengthened the movie quite a bit to go into his backstory and motivation. He's just a guy who wants to keep his job and fix the shitstorm he has created. He is really at fault for everything, because he turns on the machine when he's not supposed to for 6 more months.
Okay. I'll give you that. Now, I am going to say, though, I'm going to make a correction here. I don't think he stumbles into the time machine by accident. He was totally lured into the time machine by himself.
Yeah.
Which is really funny to me. Like, isn't that another paradox?
Well, I mean, it's kind of one of the theories of time travel is that, like, that it kind of makes itself inevitable. Like, if anything related to time travel, like, if you travel back into the past, then you've already been in the past, and then your actions are already affecting the present.
Sure.
So it's like, even when we follow Hector 1, the stuff that the other Hectors have done has already affected shit. So it's like it already happens, and it becomes something of an inevitable time loop. It's sort of like the whole, like... You know, there are those time travel shows where, like, you can't alter the past because it's already happened, and if you tried to go back in time to change the past, if you change the past, then you wouldn't have the impetus to go back into the past in the first time, and you create a paradox.
Exactly. And this is the whole point, is Hector 1 ends up in the time machine for the very first time because he's being chased by Hector 2,
Yep.
Who wouldn't have been there if he didn't get in the time machine to go back and chase himself.
Yep.
Definitely paradox.
It's not... No?
He wouldn't have been in the time machine if Hector 2 didn't kidnap the girl, creeper, make her start taking off her clothes.
Real creepy.
Right.
And for that matter, she gets that menaced by a pair of goddamn scissors. Like, if he had like a gun or something, then sure, but he's like standing like 10 feet away, like has binoculars, is watching the guy. And I mean, eventually she does bolt, but he's like, take off your clothes. And she's like, okay. And he's like, no, slowly. And she keeps fucking doing it. I'm like, what is the matter with you?
Let's face it. Hector 2 is being like the ultimate wingman for Hector 1, who he knows is checking her out in the binoculars.
Yeah, well, he knows he has to set all that up.
I mean, it's fairly creepy, but he's being a good wingman. So... he kidnaps the girl at Scissor Point.
At Scissor Point. Her scissors, for that matter.
Yes, her scissors. Because she was kind enough to go help him. You know, no good deed goes unpunished.
Oh, yeah. I feel like that's the only real... well, maybe that, or like a curiosity killed the cat kind of thing, are the two like major themes of the movie. Because this girl just stops to help some guy she saw like drive off the road and crash, and she ends up dead because of it. What kind of bullshit is that?
Right, and not only that, she befriends another guy that was in a car accident. Because, folks, let's face it, if you're going somewhere, do not let Hector, Uno, Dos, or Tres drive. This man, no good.
Yeah, I don't even really remember how Hector 3 crashes, because all he does is like bump Hector 2 off the road.
Oh, this is what happens. He bumps Hector 2 off the road. Then he's looking back like, ha-ha, I took care of myself. And then runs into that little dumpster thing and drives himself off the road. He drove himself off the road while driving himself off the road. I approve.
Amazing.
Okay, so the reason I'm saying it's a paradox is because Hector 2 shows up, gets in a car accident, kidnaps Good Samaritan girl.
Yep.
Creepily makes her take off her clothes.
Mm-hmm.
She gets knocked out because she's trying to run away, and he pushes her like down a hill or something. Hector number 1 goes, "Hey, I saw a girl who was getting naked, and now I can't find her no more." Peeping Tom style. Decides to go into the creepy woods with the naked girl to look for her, because he's like, "Hey, what happened to that naked chick? My wife ran to the store real quick. I got a minute."
Mm-hmm.
Hector is like grade A asshole, by the way.
Oh yeah, this guy is not a terribly likable protagonist.
Not at all. So he shows up, and Hector 2 stabs him,
Mm-hmm.
chases him away, does a little finger thing, and we don't know it's Hector 2 at this point.
Right. It's just the man
I'm
with the
usually
bandages.
using quotation marks because he's all bandaged up. And Hector 1 gets scared because the guy's attacking him. Doesn't run home, which is, he just came from his house, so it's not like it's far away. He runs to this place that apparently he didn't know existed.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was pretty heavily implied that they just moved in, because you saw all the stuff like kind of in and out of boxes, and like they're kind of like they're building IKEA furniture at the beginning.
Okay, I can understand why he doesn't know what this place is, but I'm still making the argument that his house is just as close.
Well, yeah, I think there it kind of depends on your suspension of disbelief, and like if you had just gotten like stabbed that badly in the arm, because like you see the wound and it's like it's big for being stabbed with a pair of goddamn scissors. How clearly would you be thinking, or would you just be running in a direction?
Okay, that may be fair as well. Where the janitor or whoever the freaking employee is, I'll agree with you. We'll call him the janitor.
Okay, I like that. The janitor.
Where the janitor gets on the walkie-talkie with him, says, "The man with the bandages is coming to get you. You better come see me up at the silo." Mm-hmm. So he runs up to the silo where the janitor locks him in the time traveling device, saying, "He won't find you in here," and sends him to the past.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this can begin, which I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, there's no clear beginning point here.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the point of it, because, the beginning has begun before the movie even starts, more or less, because, the other Hectors are further back in the past than when we first meet Hector 1.
Please, continue.
I don't know what else I need to explain.
No. We can move on past that point. What's next in this movie? What else do we have?
Okay. One thing I think this movie does well, and I hope you're not going to disagree with me here, is that it knows when to shut up. It makes good use of silence. Like, it doesn't always have people talking. Like, sometimes it's just showing the guy. We see Hector become, if not smarter, at least a little bit more clever or competent over his iterations, where he gets a clearer picture of what's going on. But there are moments where the movie stays quiet and just lets it show Hector figure things out a little bit, or
I'll give you that. I actually agree with you. I like the fact that they knew how to shut up, and it didn't have to be constant dialogue, filling it up with stupid lines when really a line isn't needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you on that. I do not agree that Hector got smarter or more clever in this movie. I think Hector just got more calm in the movie.
That's fair. That's fair. He does get a lot more calm because
he realizes. He decides to calm down when he realizes that he's going to kill the girl that he was a creeper with. First as a peeping Tom, second as a damn near rapist, and third as a murderer.
Yep.
Go Hector. Also, he can save his wife's life that was never on the line.
Yep. But to make sure it was never on the line, he needs to set up the whole disguised girl thing.
Which does not make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess it does, because if Hector 2 doesn't think the wife is dead, he's not going to go back to the time machine.
Right.
And
he has to make sure that happens.
Hector ain't sharing his bitch with nobody, not even himself.
Right. Which is made abundantly clear, like when he's first like Hector 2 and he sees like himself back at the house. He's like, "Who is that? Who is that?" And the janitor's like, "It's you." He's like, "What is she doing with that man?" The janitor's like, "Dude, it's you."
Still you, buddy.
Yeah.
Calm down.
And thankfully, they don't let the exposition drag out super long. Like, I can see if this movie... I could see a movie like this doing a lot of, like, spending 20 minutes and having somebody played by, say, Morgan Freeman being like, "Okay, here's exactly what's going on with the time travel shit." But Hector's impatient and an idiot. He doesn't want to wait around for the explanations. He's like, "Nope, I'm gone."
I agree with you. Hector is an idiot. And the guy does, to his credit, he tries to explain to him that he traveled in time. And Hector's like, "Dee, I don't understand."
Pretty much.
And
because all he would have to do is stay put. The janitor tells him, "Don't go anywhere. Don't screw with the past.
Don't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be fine." But no, he can't do that. Of course, it's probably a good thing, because if he didn't do all that, Hector 1 wouldn't have gotten the time machine.
Right. He had already, just by the chain of events that led him there, he already had to go mucking around with stuff.
I don't like Hector. So they do their explanation of the time travel has got to be one of the worst I have ever seen. I know Hector's dumb, but the way he describes it, he goes, "Here's a line of time. You were over here, now you're over here."
I think that's why this guy's the janitor. Because his explanation is so bad.
Yeah.
Because, like, the actual controls for the machine don't seem all that complicated.
Yeah.
Like, he hits a couple buttons and has it charge up. Then he, like, pushes a button to, like, slowly have it close. And that seems to be about all he needs to do.
Yeah.
Anybody could operate it.
Pretty much. And
this guy's like...
Yes, the janitor definitely does not understand the mechanics of how this works. Or the theory of how it works.
Yeah.
He's just like, "You're looking at a mirror."
Yeah, he kept going on about the mirror, and I was like, that's not a good explanation.
Right.
Because, there are various types of time travel that can go on, but this one's like, "Oh, a mirror." I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's like the worst analogy ever.
Yeah, which is why this guy's the janitor, and not a scientist man.
Which is why he probably allowed Hector to screw it up.
Probably. Oh. But, there is one cliche that this movie relied on that I hate in movies made in any kind of modern period. There's all this crazy shit going on. Like, at first Hector has to run from the bandaged man, who is himself, and all this stuff that could be solved by just communicating, but everybody's like, "Oh, there's no cell service out here."
Oh yeah.
Every horror movie these days, the axe murderer shows up, all the teenagers check their phones when they're out in the cabin in the woods. They're like, "Oh, there's no cell service out here." Oh, how goddamn convenient.
In all fairness, if there was cell service, we wouldn't have a movie.
Exactly, but...
Of course, they could solve that problem by just not having a cell phone there in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it just feels like movie makers should try to be at least a little bit more clever when working around that obstacle, rather than being like, "Oh, there's no service here."
Or "Shit, it's dead," which is in half the other movies.
Yeah, that one's at least realistic, because we can all relate to that. Like, particularly if you've had your cell phone for a while, it will die on you if you've been using it quite a bit.
Yes, that is true. And I don't know. I mean, have somebody knock it out their hand or something. "Oh, you broke my phone, you dick. Now you can't call anybody."
Like, I feel like that would make for a great horror movie. Like, it's if it was just like a super stereotypical setup, kids in a cabin, whatever, going to party, and like they hear some suspicious noises or whatever. One of them pulls up the cell phone, and like the murderer comes in with the machete and slices the goddamn phone in half.
That, or you can have like your typical jock character in the movie, because You gotta have that stereotypical character in a horror movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
And he could just be sitting there as you hear a noise, and like the nerdy kid pulls out the phone because he's all like, "I'm gonna be smart and call the cops because that person doesn't belong here, and they probably got a machete and they're probably gonna kill us all." And I can see the jock just smacking out of his hand, breaking the phone, and going, "Stop being a bitch."
Yeah, could see that as well.
There is one thing I did want to say about this movie.
Uh-huh.
It was brought forth by my buddy Paul. And that is, I would tell you a great time traveling joke, but you didn't get it at all.
Oh.
I do apologize. What? Hold on, I'm confused here. Both the girl in the woods and the wife, not bad looking, right?
Yeah.
Pretty attractive girls.
And we get to see the girl in the woods tits, which is nice.
Which is very nice.
I had to laugh when, like, the first Hector is, like, got binoculars. He sees this woman, like, take her shirt off. No bra, just tits right there. And like, here's his wife from behind him, you win. And he's like, what?
Okay, that was a decent scene. I'll give you that. But the thing that confuses me is Hector is not just a creeper. Hector looks like a creeper.
Yeah, he's like slightly like balding in that like about to have like a ring of hair way, and just looks like kind of like a schlubby dude who would be like, look at those high school girls.
Yeah, you know the best thing about high school girls.
No?
I get older, they stay the same age. God. That's what Hector reminds me of.
Yeah, I could see Hector as that. Like, I kept waiting to, I kept waiting to have, like, the, hot wife, like, say something like, so when can I see my child again?
Right, well, they like that first scene where they, like, she starts kissing all over him. I'm sitting there watching this going, I'm confused. That is one ugly motherfucker.
You know, maybe they just borrowed the cast from like some telenovela where they were borrowing the American trope of like the like kind of out of shape, weird looking guy having the really hot wife. And they were like, okay, we're doing a movie this week. And they were like, okay.
She's all like, I want to be in a movie. They're like, how far are you willing to go? Oh, anyway. So, Hector 3 does not like the scene that happened with Hector 2 and 1 at all. He is not happy about this because he saw his wife fall and break her neck. I mean, like, she really broke her neck. Like, and how strong is this guy? He, like, tugs on her foot a little bit, like, no, don't run away from me. And she goes flying off the roof, off the lower ledge that he's on, way past it, onto the ground, and her head snaps and turns completely around.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, holy hope, man. Take it easy. So he's not happy that his wife is dead. And he runs...
Who would be?
Obviously, especially if you look like Hector and your fine-ass wife just died. You're going to be a little pissed.
Yeah.
Because that's not happening again.
No.
So he runs back to the time-traveling janitor and says, hey, man, you got to put me back in. I got to fix that. You told me to stay put and not do anything, but I'm done. So you got to put me back in there so I can go back and do more stuff to fuck this all up.
Mm-hmm.
And the janitor's like, no?
Which is a reasonable response.
Right?
Somebody comes up to you and is like, hey, I used a time travel machine and made everything worse. I need to go in again. What are you going to answer?
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yep.
But Hector doesn't take no for an answer. He goes and gets a crowbar and starts like tearing up like the janitor stuff. He's going to get him fired, and he's like, hold on, man, I need this job. My parole officer's not going to be real happy if he finds out that I got fired because the place got jacked up because I sent a man back in time. They're going to send me back to jail. So he sits there and he picks up a crowbar, starts tearing up stuff, and the janitor comes in like, whoa, slow down, and he beats up the janitor with a crowbar. And to which the janitor's like, okay, I'm now calm and can tell you whatever you want to know. Because, a man beating you with bandages all over his head, the crowbar doesn't make anybody panic.
Apparently not the janitor with nerves of steel.
Now, at this point, I'm sitting there going, okay, it took me a second to catch on to what he was going to do, but he's sitting there talking to the janitor outside while the janitor's on his knees, and he's all like, how did you know I wanted to go back in time again? Because now all of a sudden Hector understands time travel, even though he didn't understand it after already going through it. And the janitor says, Hector number 3 told me. At this point, if Hector number 3 had pulled up behind him and blew his brains out, I would not have been surprised. Because that's exactly what I expected to happen. It was like Hector number 3 just to take Hector number 2's ass out.
Well, but then he never would have been able to go back in time and become Hector 3.
All right, this movie, we've been over this. This movie does not care about paradoxes.
No, this movie does care about paradoxes, and that's the point.
I don't think it does.
It does. Everything stacks up so that things have to happen in the order they do. There's nothing like Hector 2 stuffing Hector 1 in a closet and locking the door so he can't go back in time. That would be a fucking paradox, because then Hector 1 couldn't go back in time and become Hector 2.
It would, but Hector 2 can't chase Hector 1 into time travel if he never goes back in time.
Exactly.
And he won't go back in time if he's not chased into time travel.
Yeah, and that's why this movie is running on the time travel theory of if at any point you decide to time travel, it's already happened in your past.
Well, I understand that, but...
And with all these Hectors directly manipulating or affecting each other, it all kind of stacks up.
I still think it's a paradox, but it's okay to disagree.
I think you need to Google what a paradox is.
Oh, throw you away. Anyway, so I'm saying Hector 2 never should have existed because Hector 1 wouldn't have been chased. That's what I'm saying the paradox is. Either way, we disagree, so it is what it is.
Yep.
So the janitor's telling him, well, Hector number 3 told me to keep you out of there at all costs. He said he's a failure and it's a bad idea. And Hector number 2 goes, I don't trust myself. That's just stupid. Why would I say something intelligent? I know better. Shut up, janitor, and turn the fucking machine on. So, Hector number 3 goes into the past, or Hector number 2 goes in the past, becomes Hector number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Scares the guy because he's never seen another Hector. To him, this is Hector number 1. And this guy just pops out his time machine like, hey, and he's like, oh man, I knew I shouldn't have been messing with this thing.
Yep. Which, it did bother me a little bit that he seems calmer talking to Hector 3 than he does to Hector 2. Because, like, when Hector 2 pops out, the janitor, like, looks, like, dumbstruck. And, like, kind of just, like, lets Hector 2 wander off a bit before he's like, hey, wait, who are you? Where did you, blah, 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 and pestering him with all those questions.
I think that kind of makes sense because Hector number 1 comes out, and he does look scared when Hector number 1 comes out. He's like, what the fuck? And then Hector's like, slap, shut up. And he's, I'm going to come out of there again, and whatever. And I can understand that because he's all like, maybe somebody's fucking with me.
Mm.
But then Hector number 3/1 hides, and Hector number 2 comes out, and I think that's where this guy's like, oh shit, this is real.
Okay, I guess that's reasonable. Yeah.
So that part makes sense to me.
Mm.
So,
because like, even at the most serious time travel place, they would probably be like play pranks on each other.
Yeah.
At least a little bit, probably of that nature.
Yeah, I can imagine that. I would do it, definitely.
Yeah.
So Hector number 3 goes to take out Hector number 2, runs him off the road, runs himself off the road while he's running him off the road, and jacks himself up even more. So he's got a stab wound from the scissors. Mm-hmm. He's got a head wound from when he drove himself off the road by slamming into the car with his van. And now he's like broke his cheek or something, because if you thought he was ugly before,
yeah.
Wow. And like falls out the back of a van. And he's like all jacked up. And this is where he picks up a walkie-talkie and he's like, janitor, don't let me back in no matter what. I'm a failure. It's just like, what? Like, why are you saying you're still like, yeah, you broke your cheek. Your wife died. That's the whole point of you coming back, is so you can go save your wife's life. And you're like, but I broke my cheek. Well, screw that.
He like pass out, or no, wait, he passes out later. Yeah, it was a little out of the blue for him to start saying, "Oh, I'm a failure."
But as we have expressed before, Hector is not an intelligent man.
Not particularly, no.
Which makes me think Hector has to have money. Because if you don't have a personality, you're not intelligent, you're kind of creepy, and you're hanging out with hot women.
And you have a giant house in a very pretty area.
I'm thinking he's loaded. That's the only explanation I have for that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Either way, so almost rape victim comes running down the hill, running away from Hector number 2 with the bandages. She doesn't know who he is because he's all bandaged up.
Mm-hmm.
And she runs into Hector number 3, who's all like kind of stumbling up the hill from like his car accident. She's like, "Oh my God, what happened to you?"
And he's like, "Oh, I think we're running from the same person." She's like, "Oh, never mind that you came from the opposite direction. I instantly believe you."
There's that for one. For two, she just tried to help somebody who had a car accident, who held her at scissor point and made her get naked. So her option while running away from him is to immediately help another man who just got into a car accident. She's not very bright either.
Well, maybe she just figured it was really unlikely that 2 creepy strangers would be taking advantage of her in one day.
I don't think there's a single woman that would agree with that.
That's fair.
All right, so Hector number 3, broken cheek, uglier than normal Hector, goes back to his house at the urging of the girl, of like the you gotta get naked girl.
Mm-hmm.
And she helps him up into the house because this is just a really good person. Like, she is easily the best person in the show.
Oh, yeah.
Just so kind-hearted. And she's the one person in the movie that dies.
Yep.
Great moral.
Well, I mean, maybe the moral is don't fuck around with time travelers who get people better than you killed.
Or don't help people who have been in car accidents. Just let them sit and die.
Or that.
I still think that's bad advice, but...
Oh, yeah, terrible advice.
Either way. So, he sends the girl off into the house, somehow. Gets rid of the girl. Finds his wife. Locks her in the shed, or whatever that under... whatever thing is, and puts the ladder up and sneaks his butt up into the house so he can get around Hector number 2. Then he sits there and he convinces the girl that they're going to trick Hector number 2 by him cutting off her hair. Like, you're hiding in a house from the guy who's trying to kill you in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere where you have no cell phone service.
Well, I feel like...
Who are you making him think you are?
Well, I feel like he made at least a halfway convincing case, because obviously he knows what Hector 2 did, because he was Hector 2 at one point.
Yes.
And so he's telling the girl, like, "Oh, that guy saw you and he went crazy, so we have to trick him into thinking you're someone else," which would make sense to the girl, because, like, Hector 2 clearly had, like, some weird thing where he was like, take your shirt off slowly. No, whatever I do, I'm not gonna hurt you. Like that. Just really like.
All right, Hector
really
2 did come off as
thing
crazy,
going on.
and Hector 3 knew he could sell that. I guess I'll give you that.
Yeah, he
which
knew he
I
could
find
sell.
very surprising because I don't think Hector's that smart.
Hector 3 is significantly more competent compared to Hector 1 or 2.
Shockingly, another moral. 3rd time's a charm.
I guess. But I kind of like that because it seemed that, I feel like, well, Hector's a pretty good everyman character, because, like, he's as Hector 1 or 2, he starts out, like, kind of not really knowing what the hell is going on and making dumb mistakes, and by Hector 3, he's at least cleaned things up a little. Like, he still has to literally commit murder to fix everything, but... he is able to resolve the situation.
I kind of feel like Hector number 3 is spilling milk while Hector number 2 is knocking over the whole damn table.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I'm going to say he's more competent. I mean, he's more competent.
He's less incompetent.
Yes,
how about that?
He's less incompetent. We could agree with that one. Okay. So he convinces the girl to end up looking just like his wife. Because he doesn't... Coincidences. He doesn't really... I mean, he'd have to be real close to realize that's not his wife. I mean, he doesn't know her too well. And then convinces her to run up on the roof.
Yeah.
Where Hector number 2 could chase her while he just sits there calmly like, oh, man, finally took care of that shit. Not going to get turned into the police. Not going to have to register as a sex offender. And my wife's not going to die. So then he goes downstairs calmly, lets his wife out of the shed. Like, come on. Come sit down. The wife hears the girl screaming. Is like, what the? And he's all like, takes her arm. Yeah, it's cool. Don't worry about it. Just relax.
And end of movie.
And end of movie. It's like, what the fuck was that? Like, I see divorce coming.
Yeah, probably.
Like, look, Hector number whoever the fuck you are. I don't know what the fuck happened. All I know is you locked me in a shed, took me out, then sat me down in the yard while I thought somebody was intruding. And next thing you know, your side bitch is falling off the roof and breaking her neck.
No. You see, that's when in the sequel, Hector 4 comes back and explains everything to the wife. Or else janitor number 2 comes back.
And you don't know why I think this is a horrible movie.
I really don't. I think this is a really different approach to time travel. Like, it doesn't work all the time, but I like it because it's not just like, oh yeah, just go and like change the past, whatever, it'll all be different. No, you can't really. Like, if you think you've changed it, it's because it was never that way from the start.
Right, and Hector's not smart enough to realize that he didn't change anything.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I will say this movie was so bad I enjoyed it.
Really?
It was so bad that I thought it was hilarious. I mean, come on, how much of a good time have we had making fun of this movie?
I mean, yeah, but that's just I think this is a good movie, just with some weaker scenes and elements.
I think there are a number of them, but I'm still okay with it. We like the movie for different reasons.
It works.
And how often do we agree on anything?
Not much. I mean, I feel like at one time we were about 50-50 agreeing on movies, but that keeps getting more and more unbalanced as we record more of this.
Yeah, that definitely went out the window. I mean, I think we agreed with Warcraft, but...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, it definitely could have been better.
I'm Lothar, I'm so fucking cool. No, dude. No. No.
I think I liked it more than you did, but... I'm still like, I could have passed. I'm still pissed that I didn't go watch X-Men instead.
X-Men probably would have been better, yeah.
Probably.
Oh well.
Either way, I don't really have any more notes on this movie.
Nope. I don't either.
So, what are we doing next week?
It was a movie that you had...
Yes, but you had the list.
Yes.
And I suggested it months ago.
Yeah, before the hiatus. It was a movie called Air.
Air. Oh, yes, Air. Okay, I'm happy. We finally get to go back to watching good movies. Which means you're probably going to be miserable. Because I could almost bet money that you're going to hate the movie simply because I thought it was fantastic.
Well, that is what happened last week.
Exactly. Wonderful movie that you hated.
Terrible movie. Horse cum jokes. Haha, so funny.
Oh, yeah. Much better than titty jokes and janitors at a time travel facility. Anyway.
But isn't that so much better to have a janitor there rather than the wise scientist who's like, let me explain everything that's going on? The dude like, I just mopped floors. You're the reflection.
Well, I don't think Hector would have understood anything if a scientist had been there.
Probably.
It would have been right over his head.
But, anyway.
So, next week we have Air, and I'm looking forward to it.
I'll be cautiously optimistic.
Fair enough.
But probably end up hating it. So, till next time, I'm Alex.
I'm Jacob, and this is Film Themes. Good night, everybody.